What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today, we're going old school. Old school. We're going to look at some charts. We might look at some graphs. Talking a little NBA season. That's right. For those of you that don't know, and judging by card prices, most of you forgot, the NBA season started last night. Today is the first full day, which means, I don't know if we're doing off center tonight or not, but if we are, I will probably be watching the end of the Cavs game, a tradition unlike any other. What I was curious about today is, have off-season prices moved at all, up or down, for your favorite NBA superstars? Because to be quite frank, it seemed like other than Victor and whatever the hottest Wemby chase was, from Topps Chrome or Sapphire or Prism or Select or whatever, and everyone grading the hell out of it. I saw GemRate put out a new report yesterday with how many Wemby cards have been graded. Outside of Wemby, I have heard next to no buzz about NBA cards specific. Obviously, there's a lot of transactions and all that sort of stuff. I'm just talking about like card stuff. There was no real buzz for NBA outside of Victor at the National. There hasn't been any real crazy price movements to the best of my knowledge, which is why I wanted to kind of take a look at some stuff today. So it's been what feels like a very quiet offseason, and to be quite frank, the charts and graphs tend to back that up outside of a handful of players that got a little bit of buzz on them. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive into market movers. Link is in the description down below if you want to play around with your own charts and graphs. You could try it out for free and get a 20% discount for life. Okay, we are in movements, price movements. We are looking at, as always, Prism Silvers. It's not perfect, but it gives us a decent enough idea if on a macro level a player's market is moving up or down. I went with 90 days back. That takes us to around late July, which is after all the offseason nonsense, playoffs, everything's kind of settled in its place. Everyone's gone to their new teams. And what have card prices done since then? Right now, I have the list sorted by most expensive to least expensive, just to kind of focus on the top tier guys. And as I kind of mentioned at the top, not a ton of movement on stuff. Of the expensive players, Luka had the biggest drop at 36%. I don't think this is super surprising because his stuff, this card sat around $1,200, $1,000 to $1,200 almost the entire NBA season. And then it did get some heat during the playoffs. And I think part of this drop is it's still just coming off its NBA postseason, NBA finals run high, as things were still deflating as we moved into late July. And it literally settled right back in kind of where it was. The Joker, everyone's favorite big man and horse lover, has basically had no movement. Now, a little bit less sales there compared to Luka. Speaking of less sales, Victor is at the top of the list. He had 2 sales with 0 change, but the last sale was a month ago. It's only pop 85 on, I'm sorry, Giannis, not Victor. Only pop 85 on the Giannis PSA 10, so that one does not transact a ton. But he has had little to no movement on his higher end stuff. Ant-Man, everybody loves him. Down about 10, 12%. Still sitting at around $1,000 for a silver PSA 10. Down 12%. I don't really consider that like a massive move one way or the other. Same thing here. Devin Booker up 15%. That's a $100 jump. That's, congratulations. You covered your selling fees if you bought one of his cards to flip. Victor has held, I'm actually going to call it fairly steady. Now, he is down 17%. But when you consider the amount of graded supply that has hit the market over the course of the last 90 days, I think the fact that he is only down 17% is actually pretty decent, and it kind of shows the demand for his market. Now, season starts, everything can change once the ball tips off. Obviously, he can go crazy, he can get hurt, We are in the land of the unknown now. But for the most part, during the offseason, even with as much supply that's out there, his silver, anyway, actually hung around pretty good. The refractor, the Topps Chrome unlicensed refractor, didn't seem to undercut it that much. The silver still seems to be the one that people want as kind of like, the primary decent rookie card. SGA getting a ton of buzz. He is actually my pick for the MVP. I have about a $20 wager at, I think, plus 500 that I made about a month or two ago on SGA to win the MVP. I have the Thunder winning the West. I have a futures bet on that as well. I did not bet for an NBA champion or anything crazy like that. I did a bunch of over-unders. But even with all that hype and buzz, his card prices have not moved. Ja Morant's have not moved. Still sitting at about $500. Paolo Banchero, I was a little surprised by. This was probably one of the more surprising ones on the list. Down 20%, as the Magic were really good last year, and he kind of had a breakout performance. So I'm kind of perplexed that he is slipping down 20% in price. Zion, everyone's favorite, stayed flat the entire offseason, still sitting at around $325, give or take. Jaylen Brown had an amazing run last year. Offseason prices have barely changed at a 10% movement there. Just kind of scrolling through here. We'll talk about Scotty Barnes more in a minute. He is one of the ones that I flagged out. This is one that almost made that cut, but it was still really only up 20%. Brandon Miller, actually think he's going to have a pretty decent year. I drafted him a ton in best ball leagues. He's up 20%. I think his prices will get held down because he is on the Hornets. Tyrese Maxey down slightly, and Chet Holmgren down slightly, looking at kind of the first 20 on that page. Now, I did pull a couple guys out that have gone up significantly. One has just happened because he played in a preseason game. Yes, that's right. It's almost like we're in COVID times again. Lonzo Ball is back, baby. Jeff Wilson's collection is saved. Lonzo up 74% on his silver PSA 10, and all of that is in the last couple of days. All jokes aside, I hope Lonzo can make some sort of comeback to the NBA after he's had a ton of knee issues. He had some crazy knee cartilage replacement thing done that's never been done before on an NBA player. So we'll see how this plays out. I wouldn't be running out and buying his cards, I can tell you that much. But it does look like he is getting quite the bump on the chance of him returning to the floor. Two other guys that got a lot of offseason bump. And part of this, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. On guys like this, especially the next one, Jalen Johnson, who, very good NBA player, could very well have a breakout season. He's up about 50% to $135. But on guys like that, low population on the PSA 10. There's only 66 graded, give or take. Market mover pop report numbers tend to lag behind just a little bit. But regardless, there's not a ton of those on the population report. But there are probably a ton of them out there. So just kind of keep that in mind. Mind those pop reports, especially when one of these, post-hype sleepers, a rookie from 2 years ago that was, okay, all of a sudden has a breakout season. If their prices jump way faster than normal, a lot of that is due to the amount of graded supply on the market, because a lot of their stuff just might not be sitting in PSA 10 holders. Jalen Johnson goes crazy this year. I guarantee you that number will increase. Pop count will increase drastically. So when you see prices spike like that, always double check the population count. Sometimes that could tell you a little bit of a story as well. And then also on that 2021, Scotty Barnes up about 60%. Rookie of the year, stole it from my boy Evan Mobley that year. Evan Mobley stuff, I didn't pull it because it almost feels like an outlier. There was kind of one sale, and no, it was not me. His stuff was up quite a bit as well. So the 2021 class seems to be getting a little bit of love. I actually still have a handful of 2021 Prism retail boxes sitting over on the shelf beside me. So the 2021 class having a nice strong year, I would not say no to. But Scotty's an interesting one. Good player, don't get me wrong, but I really don't understand what the Raptors are this year. So I think the team could potentially hold them back a little bit. if they are not, and I don't expect them to be flirting with the playoffs because the East is pretty deep in regards to teams that will potentially be making playoff runs. So that's kind of where we sit right now in the NBA world. Like I said, we got 2 games in the books already. I don't know what happened yet because I am recording this prior to those tipping off. Actually about to tip off in about a half an hour here. So we're going to wrap things up there. Curious for your thoughts and comments down below in regards to basketball cards in general. Have you been making plays during the off season? Were you stacking anyone, prospecting in anyone, getting ready for the NBA season coming up? Or is this the classic case of nobody cares about the NBA until Christmas? Or is it still, the NBA got a ton of pump during the COVID days. Are we still kind of finding our way after that? I love the NBA. I love watching basketball every single night, knowing from tonight for the next 8 months, I have NBA games on every night of the week. Is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Feel free to fire away with your NBA 2024 season hot take down below as well. And we will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Go Cavs. Peace.